First, I just wanted to quickly say like why LinkedIn, and it's some I think the reason is this tool is so beneficial for so many of us, even sometimes we don't know it, but it's the law of 6 degrees of separation. I'm sure you've heard of that. The idea that we are all connected some way, at least 6 or fewer social connections away from each other. So it's really important sometimes, especially in job search, especially if you need some advice or support sometimes, to connect to as many people as possible, because you never know who your friends are also connected to. So sometimes, like I'll give an example, if we're looking for a candidate, and a lot of times I have so many connections that my recruiters come to me and they say, you have so many connections. I see that you're connected, like you have a second or third connection with this person. Do you know anything about it? So it's good to say, yeah, actually I could find out from my connection about this person. And sometimes it's the other way around. I do this as well. If my friend is looking for a job and I see that I have a second or third connection with someone, I could try to refer them and say, I know you don't know me, but you know my friend, and I can vouch for them. So it's almost like gives you an opportunity to get referred. And that's a really great way to get introduced to any company or any individuals in the company. So sometimes you may not even think who you're just, so there's many people as you connect to, the more opportunities, the more companies you technically connected to as well. Um, so with that, it's also important how you present yourself in LinkedIn. So that's why I wanted to kind of go through the profile. I was going back and forth between demoing like right on LinkedIn because it might be a little bit easier. But I did want to do screenshots so that, in case if you ever want to look back at it, it will be easier because it will be in the slide. So that's my profile. So we'll go through the basics of LinkedIn components. And again, stop me at any time. I'm going to give you pretty much snapshots of what my profile looks like. For some individuals, it may be slightly different, what you want to put on there, but the components pretty much remain the same. The idea is to try to make your profile stand out, to really tell your story, very similar to when working on your resume or CV, but there are some differences. So the first thing that I would just point out that you have an opportunity to edit your URL for your profile. So make sure you do that so that it's an easy, clean link for you to use, because LinkedIn does not automatically do that. So it's usually hidden on the right side of your profile. This little thing that says edit public profile URL. Here you can enter any customized um, name for yourself. So you could do your name for, first name, last name. Mine is not very not very creative. It is just E. Schneider. That's my name. So it's, again, something you want to do because it will be easy for you then to put in that link on your profile, or anywhere else. If you want to share, here's my LinkedIn profile, you can put it on your resume, your CV. So again, that's just going to help you create like a very simple way of accessing your profile. The other thing is cover image. Sorry, it makes a profile just what's you want to put something that matters to you. So a lot of people put, sometimes like the company, the logo. I have, personally, I live close to New York City right now. This is actually New York City. I know it's hard to tell, but it's the reflection of New York City. It could be your hometown, it could be something that matters to you, some type of background. Everyone could, depending on industry, if you're creative, if you're a graphic designer, you want to put something that there maybe that you created. But it's just a nice way to make it stand out a little bit. So if it's blank, it's not really, it doesn't look as, it's an opportunity to have a brand for you. So anything that, I would say, what matters. But some things that you could put, again, it could be anything like industry related, work related. You can make a constant profile, maybe saying like, I'm looking for work, something, anything. This is an opportunity for somebody to quickly see and kind of see who you are with that profile, with that cover image. On the profile picture, even though we say no in the US, no profile picture and resume and CV, we don't put that on the resumes. Only if it's an acting job, probably, then you might want to put that on there. But the profile, it is okay and encouraged to include a picture. Doesn't have to be very professional if you don't have a professional picture done, but just a clean picture of your face. And it could be, mine is looks like it was professional, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it could just be like as long as you're the only one on the picture, it's clean, you could see your face, you could see who you are in that picture. Obviously, I have to sometimes remind some of my friends, even though, like, don't put any alcohol in that picture, don't hold like a glass of wine or anything in there, just make it authentic, but it doesn't, but still kind of professional. So again, if you don't have anything, like, probably the way you look right now, if you just take a screenshot of yourself at the desk, like, that's probably fine how you look if you want to put it on LinkedIn. But it's good to include a picture, again, because it's good to see who the individuals are interacting with. In terms of headline, this is an opportunity. The headline, so by clicking that edit, this is why sometimes demoing is a little better, because I actually walk through this process. So you can edit anything by clicking these little pencils or pencil icons. So next to my name, where it says Audible, you can, if you click on that, it actually takes you to editing the headline and all of this information here. I have pronouns. Again, in the US, it's very common now to put your pronouns. So I have she, her. Some people put they, there. You don't have to have that in there. So that's just, for now. This is really more of a US thing right now. I don't really know if other countries do that. But the headline is what's under my name. And right now, I am actually doing something that they tell you not to do. I just have my title and what I do in the company. So I just have Senior Director, HR Business Partner. But this actually headline, a lot of what you want to put on there is your objective. And so you could put something, experienced project manager, from Ukraine, looking for an opportunity in the US. So you could actually make that into what your objective. So if you have attended the CV interview course last time, I think it was last week, Valeria, we mentioned that you want to put an objective on the resume, on your CV. We could do the same here and kind of make your headline what it is that you're looking for. So that's just a good opportunity. Or you could just talk through your experience. You could just say, I'm an experienced project manager, and or create some type of better headline explaining what you do, what you want to do in this situation. The other thing is, it says open to on the left hand side. If you click on that, it will give you an opportunity to add, similar how on Facebook you have a frame in your photo. Here you can create a frame that says open to work. So if that's what you're looking for, if you want recruiters to quickly see that you're looking for work, I would definitely encourage you to click that, and then you'll have right on above, around your picture, you have open to work in the profile. So again, if that's what because we are looking for work right now, I think it's really important to kind of show it really, really clearly that you are. The other section right underneath, it's about section. That's a good opportunity to write your summary of experience, maybe put a bit more about the objective, again, what you're looking for, and talk a little bit more about your story. Just again, maybe what experience you have and maybe what areas you would be looking to do. And you don't have to just pick one area. I think, depending, if there's only one career path right now that you're considering, you can talk about it. If you're in multiple things, you could also mention like what you're good at and how you could be a fit for these different areas. Again, this is like a narrative up and a good opportunity to really write about yourself, what you do, what you've done, and what you're looking to do. You can also summarize it. I actually I had it here, but if you go on my profile, I kind of like have bullet points. So you don't want it to be too long, but you want maybe capture, in bullets some of the key things that you've done, your accomplishments, and then what you're looking to do. Does anyone have any questions or anything?
Я хотіла попросити Ольгу перейти на м'ют, бо воно час від часу інші звуки вискакують. Дякую.
And about section, again, I think it depends, because it depends on your stage in the career. Sometimes you're going to want to talk about other things in there, but right now I think it's going to be helpful to like, and even for me, I always try to put a little bit more about experience and expertise, just very clearly, like summary of skills and things that you would want to highlight to the employer. So then the next section, it really takes you to experience, and this is where you can pretty much use information from your CV. You can include a little bit more. There's no page limit in LinkedIn. So, and if you want to see everyone to see all of your experience, of course, the relevant experience will be most important. But it's good to, but it doesn't hurt to put anything else that you've done, just because sometimes that may be helpful to the role that you're looking at. So it's, again, it's not, there's no cap on how long your LinkedIn profile is, but definitely include, it goes from your most recent to the oldest position. Similar to the CV and resume, I would say just focus on achievements and responsibilities, but really, what Valeria talked about last time, making sure they focus on your impact. So what results you had in the jobs that you did. So I said reference the CV tips workshop, because I think it was very helpful examples. Some measurable things, like if you made any type of impact in the organization, whether it's a percentage of sales or increased any other type of I'm trying to think, like make something more efficient, or like anything you can quantify with numbers, that would be great. If you don't, that's fine too, because I think in terms of LinkedIn, it's a little bit more sometimes when the recruiter looks at, they'll just want to make sure you've done that job. So they may not get into that detail. They'll just ask you for the CV. But if you can put something there, then it's really great as well. But you want to show progression. So if you were promoted within a role, you want to put in both roles in there. So like I have in my current job, like I was promoted. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to just have like the senior director, like it shows that I was a director, that I was promoted. So it gives a little bit of a story of what you've done and how you've progressed within the job, within the company. You can be as detailed or as high level as possible. If you work on something like, for instance, my job was HR business partner, it's pretty straightforward. So like all that recruiters want to see is that who your client groups are, and they know kind of what HRBP does. So yeah, I didn't have to go in a lot of detail. Some previous jobs, I went in a little bit more detail because it's just wanted to explain what that does and what that means. And I see raised hands, so I want to pause here.
Yeah, hi, Evgenia. Thank you very much for your presentation for the workshop. I have a question about seniority. For example, if now I'm junior, but I'm looking for a job like senior or middle job, is it a good idea to keep junior role in in my role description, or I can just remove it? Is there any consequences for that?
No, you don't have, you can, so if you had, I guess, how long ago was the junior role? I think if they see progression, because I have a junior roles on here as well, like, but they could see that it was like 2008 that I had the junior role, right? So you can kind of calculate how many years of experience I had overall. So how long ago was the junior role that you have on there?
Actually, I have, hi everyone. Actually, I have like half a year experience of junior, but overall experience is more than 5 years. The junior experience is after like break in experience.
But probably, Lena, you probably changed your career, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Or you kind of just like continued whatever you've done previously?
I slightly changed. I'm still in HR, Sorry
Okay.
for talking about me. I'm still in HR, but I started job in a multinational corporation, and I wasn't sure about my seniority, so I started with junior. But
Yeah.
now, for example, I want to look for middle roles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal because the level, it depends on the size of the organization. If you can just sometimes, the job in a big corporation will just look like it's a little less senior, but it's really people like the recruiters will know, well, you made a switch from a junior to so I'll give an example. I just hired someone to report to me, and she was just the VP of HR, but she's starting my job as a senior manager because the titles in one company is different, but you can kind of speak to that, and in that even about section you could just say, I have this many years of experience. So I think when you look at the profile, you'll see the overall experience, not just like the last thing that you've done.
Yeah.
But I would say maybe not remove it, but just tweak it a little bit. Just if there's anything a little bit more senior that you do, and your responsibilities, just making sure that it's highlighted. And in the headline, I would say, HR professional with years of experience, looking for this type of role.
Okay, great. Thank you
And
very
I
much.
can help you as well.
Thank
If you want, I can look at your profile and we could see, because I feel like it'll be easier if I, just to understand what that looks like. But I wouldn't remove anything. I don't know, unless Lyrics, I don't know if you have a different advice, but I feel like it's important what you do, and it's good to see the experience.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I was removing high-level positions because it was not aligned with with the position here in US. So I didn't want HRs consider me as a super high-level person, and then when they approach me, and it was like obviously like my first work in US, so I just like, therefore I a little bit like whatever I was like head of strategy or whatever, I made it manager level. So then kind of like the business overall in US is much bigger. So there are much more like the more developed hierarchy. And therefore, yeah, I think it's a good exercise to find the right way how to translate your position.
Yeah, it's about the story. I think that the main idea is to have the consistent story. And once your story is consistent, so yeah, you're showing the growth, but on the other hand, it should be like recognizable and understandable of what to expect from you. So in that sense, I mean, we can take it definitely offline if you want to fine tune your story. I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, same. Yeah, I think that was really well said. I think, and I do think you could change the story a little bit, but I think it's okay to keep it authentic, right? But just explain how it ties in there. So I'll give an example. Like sometimes, if I had that bigger title, for instance, like I would put in the explanation maybe a little bit about the size of the company or size of a client team, right? So I was an HR manager, but it was like for 30 people, right? So it's different being an HR manager for like, 1,000 people and doing a little bit more. So if you put in a little bit more about your responsibilities, you could also explain kind of for recruiters what really that meant. So, but titles now are a little bit, and I'm seeing it right now again, because like I'm in a big company right now all of a sudden, and it's like the titles are different even from Publicis, right? And Publicis is a big company, and just a different industry, like tech industry, are really not good with titles. Like everyone's pretty flat. So I think it would just depend. Again, as Oksana said, as long as we explain a story, like don't be afraid that somebody will judge you just based on your title. It's really more about the experience. Really good question. Really good question.
And it's like just to add, also like don't hide your like 6 months experience, because it counts here absolutely different way. I remember like in Ukraine, we were like thinking about if you get to the company, you should work at least 1 year. So in US, it's different because I saw people were considering resumes with candidates who had like 3 months of experience, and it was okay. It was like my question was like, they are changing work. They're going to behave the same way when they come here, and it was only my concern. So nobody was scared.
No, it's changing a lot, especially in the market now in the US. There's so many jobs, and you know, as soon as I started at Audible, like 2 months later, Spotify reached out. They don't care that I've only spent 2 months at Audible. You know, they really wanted to get someone in. So it's just, again, like it's a little different, so they won't judge it. So yeah, don't be afraid to put that on there, especially if you know if the situation while you're moving into a job is also pretty clear to the employer. But really, really, really good question. And of course, like anyone here on the call as well, if you have any questions afterwards, and if you want to start looking, when you start writing that story, if you want any of us to review it, just send the link. You know, you have our email addresses now. You'll have my LinkedIn. You can connect. You can always be like, hey, can you take a look? Like, what do you think? Really happy to help with that. So the other components are pretty straightforward. Education, you obviously want to include, I'll say, include completed and incomplete. Even if you were in your university and studying something, but you didn't get the degree yet, that's fine. I think anything that's relevant that you are taking in your courses will be helpful to have. So again, if you don't have a full degree, that's fine, just as long as if you went to school and got had any type of high level education, here's a good opportunity to put that in there. The other section is licenses and certification. I would put anything, any type of professional licenses that you may have. Wow, I misspelled that word. But anyway, licenses, sorry for the second time. I say IT tools because there's a lot of like technology certifications that you may have had, or graphic design certifications. So anything that you may have, you want to make sure you put in there. I didn't screenshot, but there's volunteering experience. If you've done any volunteering, you want to put the organizations that you've done work with. For skills, there's a section on skills where you select what you know, put things that are most relevant to the roles you're interested in, and I'll go through it in a second, but it's basically what you could do is really look at jobs and I know a good example, you know, for HR, for instance, right? Like we have different tools, different HRIS platforms, like we have Workday, we may have PeopleSoft, so you want to put that in there. If you know employee relations for HR, like you want to highlight there. So anything that is relevant to your role, and sometimes even if you're not sure how to call it, then you might want to do some research in those job descriptions and then see what are some things that people are looking for, and you want to, and if you have that knowledge, if you've done this is just, you can put that on your profile as well. Then there's a languages section, again, include that you know obviously which languages you speak, and how well, even if you don't know something really well, like I think I have like German on there, like I have like a very basic understanding of it, but I think I might put it on there. Spanish, because like I've studied it, but you could put your proficiency level, so you don't have to say that you know it 100%, but at least like it shows also that you know a couple of different languages if you do. Recommendations, this is when you can ask your professional connections for an endorsement. They're helpful if they are available, but I will tell you right now, they're not critical right now. It was very important in the beginning. Now, I don't know if any recruiters look for it that much. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. If you have some people that you worked with and you want to get their endorsement, or some of them to write a little bit about you, you can request that. But again, I haven't done that myself probably in the last, I'm gonna say like probably 8-9 years. So I don't know, but it's if you are looking for it, it's not a bad thing to ask if you just finished working with someone and you want to capture that feedback in LinkedIn. In small, I did mention project websites, creative services if applicable. there's an opportunity if you are creative, if you're if you've got a graphic designer, if you work on different projects you want to highlight, there's also an opportunity to add that. There's also here in the on the right side here when it says find potential clients by showcasing your services you provide. So if you are self-employed, if you're doing anything for yourself, like building websites or I'm just anything that you may be doing, you know, directly with a client, this is an opportunity to show here as well. So I'm thinking more like from the corporate perspective, but there's also ways to use LinkedIn when you're self-employed. So I can definitely talk through that a little bit as well if anyone has questions, or we can meet offline to talk about that as well. My husband is self-employed, so he uses it very much differently than I use it, right? So he's not looking for work, but he's looking for clients through LinkedIn. Again, we could talk through it later. So I'll kind of stop there. Again, I think it's a good opportunity to just go back and create the profile, practice some of these things, start writing the story, and then, you know, have someone look at it. Honestly, like I think you have a good resource here. And I even sometimes also ask for some help, and I'm like, can you like look at my LinkedIn and just see that it looks okay? Because you want someone to proofread it, you want it to be good. You know, make sure there's no spelling errors. Like, you know, I have a spelling error on the slide, and it's normal to have that. But when somebody is looking quickly at your profile, you want to make sure that it looks as clean as possible with no grammatical errors or as little as possible. So again, this is like your brand. So it's really, again, like if it doesn't, it will take someone just a, I don't know, maybe like a few minutes to look at it, but proofread it, just making sure it's not as doesn't have anything like really any big grammatical issues. Same with your CV as well with resume. I think if it will be, recruiters will be more understanding, of course, that English is not native speak. You may not be a native speaker, but it is going to still, it is one document that should at least have that without any issues or without any errors. I'll pause here. Anyone has any other questions on the profile? And then, because I do want to make sure we spend some more time on the next.
I have a question between
Okay.
the difference between resume and LinkedIn profile. So I was always thinking about it that first recruiter is looking at my LinkedIn profile, and then they ask for sharing my CV. So I thought that my CV should give a little bit like more detailed information. Is it a correct assumption?
Yeah, I think it will have more information, and I'll tell you why. It depends, because when you're currently employed, and if you're like, for instance, you see I have very high level, so I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail about my current jobs that much, because my employer may wonder why are you putting so much information. So that's why you want to keep it at more high level here. But if it's previous jobs and you, or if you're actually actively looking for something and you want to highlight things on LinkedIn, it's okay to have a little bit more. But you're right. Like, I think recruiter quickly just needs to know what you're doing. Like, what are some high level things that, you know, that are important to know. And when I say more than less, I mean like you can put more jobs in there and more information than you might have on your resume. Your resume, for instance, like I do not have my experience that I was a real estate agent for 1 year, because that's not what I want my recruiters to know, but it is in here. And sometimes, you know, it actually sparks a conversation. They're like, oh, you've done sales, you know, real estate. I was like, not really well, but I did do it. And it's just kind of gives it, like, to Oksana's point, like it tells my story that I've done a few different things in between, and that actually makes it look like I have a little bit more experience than even in my own field. But I know what you mean, Valeria. So I think it's different. It doesn't have to go in that much detail in terms of accomplishments. It's really kind of high level and things that are really important for people to know. Like I would want to put, like, you know, here I'm saying with client groups I support, but I said HRBP is a pretty straightforward jobs. So I don't need to explain like what projects I did. Like they just know, okay, well, in this role, I can assume that if somebody's an HRBP here, they can do an HRBP job there. But if you don't have that clarity and you are looking of, more actively, you may want to put some things that you would want recruiters to see really quickly when they look at the LinkedIn. I don't know if I answered it fully.
No, perfectly answered. Any other questions, guys?
CV is still key. This is just, I think it's just, if you, and I'll go through it quickly, like, but if you're applying, like do like easy apply, then you can use LinkedIn as your resume, basically. Sorry, and anyone who has any questions, because I just jumped in. No, okay. All right, so I'll go a little bit more about networking and job search, because I think it's also pretty important. I don't think anyone or everyone will do that, but I wanted to point out, I saw one person has done this in Oksana shared, and that kind of sparked some ideas for me. But what do we use LinkedIn for? There's the other, it is a social network as well, right? So it is your profile, but you also interact with other people. You can meet people, you can connect with people, and that's really the point of LinkedIn as well. So you could start a post, you can post things about different opinions, different articles, just your thoughts on in the industry. Or it's also an opportunity to summarize your story and what you're looking for. I did see someone post, that they, I just gave an example, but this person moved to Italy from Ukraine, and they're now looking for a job. They've quickly put a quick summary of what they're looking for, what they've done. And, by sharing that post, that made me, for instance, I saw that post that was shared, and that made me go look at my company, see if we have any jobs in Italy that may be similar, or they may be a good fit for this person. Like it helps other people who want to help and take some action and start helping and look for something for you. So if it is, I don't know, I'm currently located in Ukraine, I'm looking to find employment in the US, I plan to relocate, I have experience in this and this, hoping that there's an opportunity. If you know of any employers, please share my post. Again, that's pretty, like I just wrote that, that's just pretty straightforward. But there's, if anything else, like you could, you don't need to say per share my post either. Like I think, I think people will share and then they'll want to help. So again, that's my assumption. I don't know if others feel the same way, but I do think it's an opportunity. But I would say that is one way to kind of get the attention, to say that, hey, and other people do it too. I see, sometimes people, hey, I lost my job, I'm looking for a new opportunity, in these areas. If you have anyone, if you know of anyone looking, just, share or let me know. So I do see people do that outreach as well when they look for jobs. I'll look at Valeria, Oksana, see how you feel about this, because I do think it's a good way to capture some attention and make sure that we get some help additionally from individuals you may or may not know. But I want to know like how you feel about, because I thought it was a really good idea, but want to know what you think as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree, and I think that once you have the profile done, what additionally like you can do, you need to grow your network. So now specifically in the United States, as you mentioned, there is a lot of demand. So the way I used LinkedIn way back when I was just moving here, so LinkedIn like gives you a couple of opportunities to connect with people, even if you have a free account. So I was just like using those opportunities. I was finding the people in the company I wanted to work for, and I was trying to connect with them. And this is really this networking part and the social, like the social part of the LinkedIn really helps in the job search.
I agree.
Yeah, and Evgenia, we have a question. I don't know if you see my screen sharing.
No.
No. Okay, then probably
Oh.
I can read it for you. It's a question from Noah. How can I search for new requests or establish new contacts as a new business? So can I find the clients through LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You can definitely look clients. I think, and we could again talk through that a little bit separately because it's a little different. But it's you can find the type of companies, and I'll go through the job search in a second. That's my next slides. But you can actually look for the type of companies that you want to have as clients, and then use the same method of outreach, what Oksana just said, just with a different mindset, right? I think it's going to be more like a sales pitch for the individuals, and just kind of quickly say what you do and why you're connecting with with that company. I think it's important to identify exactly, because I think it's what we want to do is just identify like what kind of jobs in the company you really need to connect to. So like if you're pitching a platform for HR, for instance, like you want to find HR professionals in that company, or if you're pitching like technology solution, you want to find like a technology person in that company. So I think you can it's a bit of a different the approach to obviously to what we're talking through now, but I think we could definitely connect, and I can give a little bit more guidance there. But it's a really good question.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there are companies, lead generation companies who are delivering. So their promise is to deliver a certain amount of leads for a certain cost. And this job that can be outsourced, maybe if you think now what to outsource. But we need just to look more closely at what exactly you're looking for. But yeah.
Because you may want to invest then in emails, like there's a bit of a different solution within LinkedIn. You can get sales ads as well. So yeah, there's definitely something you could do though. LinkedIn is good for it as well. I have a lot in my inbox. I probably have like 15 individuals reaching out because they want to talk about something that they do, and they want to pitch like a wellness solution or anything else. So and sometimes it catches my eye, so so it does work. Really good question. But for your network, so I think right now, first step, what you do before, as soon as you kind of build your profile, you want to find people you may know. Everyone in this meeting can be invited, right? Like we all have our connections, so we can become our own little network. Anyone maybe you went to school with, worked with, any family, friends, and don't think about it just in one country. Like think about how globally, because you never know. Like I have a friend who works in Berlin for a Publicis company, and like she and I were best friends before. But you just like never know where people end up, right? So you want to make sure that you're connect to as many people as possible, because they can potentially also help you find something, and you can help them as well in the future. So finding people, and I'm going to show in a second, if you do find a job, or if you find somebody who's like in talent, and I have to specify, because individuals who could actually really help you get a job, or if you've never talked to them before, are the talent acquisition professionals. They're called in the US recruiter, sourcer. They may have those job titles on LinkedIn. And potential hiring managers, is just hard to know sometimes who exactly is hiring. But recruiters, talent acquisition professionals are really pretty easy to contact. You could really see, because they'll be a little bit more open to talking to you, because that's their job. Like they spend all this time on LinkedIn looking for people. So when they have a candidate come to them, they're more likely to respond to it. So something that you could say is like, I'm growing my network. I hope to be able to connect with you. I noticed you work at this company. I'm very interested in joining. I'm currently located in Ukraine, or if you may be somewhere else, looking to find employment in I say US, but it could be any other place as well who you're reaching out to. You can kind of talk very briefly about your experience. Hoping you may know of roles where I may be a fit. If you do know a role already that you're reaching out to, you could say exactly which role that is. And just a quick, like any guidance or just the opportunity to be part of your network will be appreciated. So it's just kind of like opens that up. And then there's not a lot of commitment on the side of the person, so they could just connect with you. Or they could provide some guidance, or they could say, oh yes, I am looking for this opportunity, and they could respond to you as well. So we could, again, it depends on the situation. I'm giving like a very brief example here that I just typed up, but anyone has any questions or comments on that?
Yeah, I have a like short comment. Why it's a good idea to contact a hiring manager. It's just because in a big corporation, they used to have a referencing program, and it would mean that person, and they usually post, they have like post, we are hiring, and they just mention what positions they have open. So basically, if this person gonna bring you to the company, they're gonna get money if you hire it.
Yes, unfortunately, HR doesn't, but you're right. That's a good point. And I'll say the reason I didn't like bold hiring managers, because sometimes it's hard to know who the hiring manager is. Sometimes it's easier, but sometimes it's kind of harder to do. So, but you can also guess. This is where searching comes in, and you can go through like a company profile, try to see if you can figure out who may potentially be like one of the leaders in that organization, and also reach out to them as well. I just think that part is a little trickier, but if you know that somebody's hiring for something, I think it's really great, like you said, to reach out to them. And some you'll see like they may share it on LinkedIn too, like, hey, I'm hiring for this role, and you can quickly reach out to them. Thank you. That's a good point. I'll move forward because we have 10 more minutes and I still have a little bit, but I'll go really quickly through this. This is just, Jobs is definitely a great tool. This is one of the most widely used job search sites in the US, I think, because like for recruiters, they love it. Make sure you try different keywords and look for positions. This was just an example here. In this case, there's easy apply. So that means you really need to just apply through LinkedIn. That's very fast. Others may ask you to fill out an application. Again, that's fine. So in addition to doing that, I would say I would do a couple of things. What Valeria just said, you can go in the company, you can actually click on the company, see who works there, see who if you're connected to anyone. If you're not, maybe find someone who may be potentially a manager for this job, and you can reach out to them and do the same thing, like, hey, I'm really interested. Here is also a good example. Some jobs will say who it was posted by. So a lot of times that would be somebody who is either, this case, I think it's actually, it could have been the hiring manager who did that. In some cases, it'll be a recruiter. So that's a good person for you to actually have a name to reach out to the company right away. It says send email if you have premium account, but if you don't have a premium account, you could still click on the person's name and you may be able to send a direct message to them. So I didn't send it to this person, but I tried it and it would have worked. So again, this is another thing. Just make sure if you know who it's posted by, you can directly reach out to that person. Not everyone posts it. Not everyone shares that, but a lot of recruiters do. So definitely a good opportunity to see that. I could definitely talk more about this, but I would say there's a lot of different filters, but you can try different. That's also a good place to read job postings and descriptions, and I'll explain in a second why. Because I wanted to kind of summarize all the things we talked about in a second. But any questions about the job search platform itself? I'm like trying not to rush, but I'm starting to rush now. Sorry. And now I have a sip of coffee because my husband just brought it. So. Okay. So again, pretty straightforward, but you have to, sometimes it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for. So try different keywords and from the job postings. And again, I'll share in a second. So some things that you want to, some of the tips and takeaways, I would say that you really want to make sure the first step is you complete your profile and create that simple URL that you can use then for your CV resume. Again, that your resume doesn't go anywhere. Like Valeria said, this is still going to be a place where you want to make sure you put all your accomplishments, put all that impact for all of those jobs, of the results. have really relevant information there. So again, CV resume is still something that all the recruiters will need to see. That is what your hiring managers will want to know. So even in, I didn't mention that, but even when you do the outreach, you can attach your resume to the message, which I think is also helpful. So that way they don't just look at your profile, but they'll have the full view of your resume with your contact information. So definitely have that and attach it to your messages when you do the outreach so that they have that and they could then forward it on to recruiters or anyone. I should have actually put it on the slide. I thought of it, but I didn't do it. But yes, attach your CV and resume with any message. The other thing is keywords, and I kind of specified it that on the recruiter side, we do search. We have like a recruiting. It works almost the same as like Google, right? Like you search for things and things will come up with optimization. Any site that has keywords, certain keywords, they're going to pop up first. So, or that they tagged. So it's similar with the candidates. So when recruiters are looking for candidates, we type up keywords and then the candidates will pop up in our list. So it's what's important on your side and my side is sometimes a person who searches for the job is to make sure that those keywords are included throughout the profile somehow. It could be in the about the section and experience and skills, or all of it and all of the above. And job postings actually is somewhere you can see what type of things that people look for. So again, like, I call it talent acquisition, right, versus recruitment. You may want to put both if you've done that, because recruitment is not something someone may be searching for. They may just say talent acquisition. So like if there are certain industry words that are important, you want to make sure that they are throughout your profile, because it's more than optimized for recruiters to see you and find you. So expanding your network, so add everyone you know. The other thing I've done, which I don't know if everyone does, but like you can also research other profiles. So you can like just search for people with or in different roles and different jobs to see how they describe their jobs, so that you can take some takeaways, like what are the key messages that they say, what descriptions do they put. So you can use that even for your resume when you build it, or you can, if it's similar to what you do, but you can kind of see how do they word certain or phrase certain things in the industry. So like sometimes I do a little bit of that and just kind of see like what do people write, like what are some important things, like how do they call it nowadays? Because like I haven't built out if I haven't done my resume in like a few years, there might be things that shifted. Again, job description postings is another tool. And recruiting, reaching out to recruiting, HR, hiring managers at the companies you're interested in, even if there's no jobs right now, you can still reach out and say you're looking for some things, because sometimes people may come up with, sometimes jobs just show up and then you'll be the person that they're thinking about. So it doesn't hurt to think about what are some places you really want to work at or you were interested in, and see if somebody can help you make a connection there. Post about your experience, what you're looking for. I think we just mentioned that it could be just a post, and you can have profiles in multiple languages as well. So not just English. I see there was something new in chat, but I don't know if I can go into this. I don't know if there's a question.
No, I don't think anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really quickly, a couple of the chart tips. This is like go off the LinkedIn, just from the HR side of things. And again, we'll share the slides, I'm sure, later, so you can read through it as well. Just the first questions and important questions recruiters or hiring managers will be asking is, why are you interested in the company? What made you interested in the position? So very important whenever you're talking to any company that you do a little bit of research, at least like what that does and what makes it a place you want to work at. So if it's a tech company, it could be the product that they have. For advertising, you could like mention a couple of interesting clients and reputation that they have. For nonprofit, it's really important of a mission. So just think about what would be like, what brings you to that company outside of just like, I'm looking for a job. So even if it's the reality, sometimes they want to hear a little bit more, what excites you about that place. And then you want to mention something about if there's a specific position, to why you would be a perfect fit for it, like how you can connect your previous experience to that position. So it could be like a one sentence of, I saw it's an HR business partner role. It's exactly what I do. I would love to be supporting the mission that your company has. We're using my skills as HR business partner. So pretty straightforward, but like you could just talk about like, why exactly like that's a good fit, and what makes you excited about that specific company. The other, again, this is a lot, so I'll just keep it. Maybe you could just read through it later and I'll share a little bit of resources. I do want to be mindful of the time. I have a meeting, but I want to be. So if you has like a few more minutes, but questions, I just wanted to share the type of questions that are being asked usually once you get to the interview state. And in the US, we really use STAR method a lot, very often. So I would say for every conversation, you definitely want to prepare using that framework. So again, we could practice that. Maybe that could be in another workshop, but I wanted to kind of throw that in because it's really important, like from the HR perspective, that somebody who comes to the interview really utilizes this framework. It's the most widely used. But I'll share some resources here. So just a couple other questions come up before, how do you know salary and like what's the expectations? There's Glassdoor. That's one of the sites where you can find a little bit about salary and information and company reputation. So you could see like how the company is rated, like what people are saying about the companies. It's a good tool. Sometimes they'll even tell you what interview questions people ask on the interviews. I'm cringing a little bit by pointing you to that as a salary resource, as somebody who does compensation with companies, because that's really not 100% accurate, but it can just give you at least a ballpark. But don't think that that's like the complete, accurate representation, because it is self-reported by the employee. So I'm putting it on there because I think it's a good resource, but I don't think that's not the best way to tell you exactly how much someone should be making. Then I have a link here to the STAR method, which I just mentioned for the interviews. So I think it's good to research companies that are currently offering different opportunities specifically for Ukrainian applicants. I'm trying to see what Amazon's doing, and looks like there's there's like a program that they're putting in place in April. So I can't wait to see what that is, and how we could potentially use that to support applicants. And there's another site that's pretty helpful, just how to do 17 steps to a better LinkedIn profile. So I just went through this really quickly. I know there's like a lot of information. I'll pause here. I have a couple more minutes to hang on if we need to, but I want to be mindful of everyone else's time. If anyone has any questions.
I see there is a question from
Okay.
Yulia. I can read it, or Yulia, if you'd like to jump in, feel free to do so. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. Does a kind she cannot talk, unfortunately, but okay, I'm gonna be your voice today. Doesn't a kind of sudden growth of the network, in case you never did that before, look a bit artificial and confusing? Are there no concerns about that?
I think it's fine, because it's not going to be like, all of a sudden you have like 10,000 network connections, right? So I think it's okay, and they'll know that you're looking for a job, so that's pretty normal to connect to people. And again, I don't anticipate that you'll have like thousands more LinkedIn connections. Also, I don't think everyone really knows how much you can actually hide the number of people you connected to others, so they may not even see it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I want to add in terms of when you start adding connections, what happens is that LinkedIn has a, like a natural limit. And if you're initiating those connections, so you start, then LinkedIn will let you know. The workaround about it is that there will be people who will join your network, and there will be invitation which will be pending, so the people will not be accepting your invite. So what to do is to find the withdrawal. So this is where you can like take back your invitation and withdraw the invitation, so that the LinkedIn system again like had this capacity of your new invites empty, so you can start all over. But it will depend. So I mean, try it out. It will not look artificial for the people, because there is no way to see that yesterday you had 10 connections and today you have 50 or 500. So actually, the more connection you have on LinkedIn, the better. It's like any subscriptions in any social network. So you definitely shouldn't be, because what's happened is when you connect with the other people don't see that. So it's only you and the person you're connecting see that, and LinkedIn as the platform sees that. So please don't worry, connect until LinkedIn like says you that's enough. When it happens, you wait for a day and you withdraw all your invitations which were not accepted, and then you just start over.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, because honestly, I've never heard of that, but I think it makes sense, right? Because I think you're spamming, or you're yeah, I think it's 100 before. It looks like request limits were roughly 100 per day. That was but that's a really good point. Thanks so much. I honestly didn't even know the answer to that. That's really helpful, Oksana. Thank you.
I have one additional question regarding motivation letter. Like, do we need to spend time for this, or no one really reads it? Like sometimes there is a like when you go not to easy to apply pass, but when you forward it to a company like system where you fill in all the information about yourself, and then you get a field to add like motivation letter.
Yeah. So the cover letter or motivation letter there, it's not as critical now that it's like you need to write like a whole, paper on that. But I think just like a quick paragraph, like, I'm applying for this job because, I'm a great fit for this, given this very, very simple paragraph that you want to put in there. Nothing big at all, because nobody really, unless it's I'll say that nonprofit companies really care about it. Like they want to know their mission, why you want to work there. So if it's a nonprofit organization, you may want to put a little bit more in there, why you're really want to support their mission. But most of the companies and recruiters probably won't even look at it, to be honest. But if it's a field, I would just say like make it really simple, very straightforward, why you're looking for, like why you would make a great fit for this job, and pretty much that you're excited to apply, and that's about it. Like you really don't need to make like a really long letter.
Yeah, you probably can, like the way I was approaching it in my days was that you have a template. Once you have a template, basically what you do, the key is to keep changing the company name and the position name, just like
right.
this is
Don't forget to do that.
Yeah, or you can, and there are certain like key competencies that they're looking for. So, and you are like, I'm good for this position because often then you look at the job description, because they're looking X, Y, Z, and you put it into, because I have those skills, and that's it. So basically it's a very not automated, but mechanical thing. So you're not actually spending your energy on every time inventing why you do really work, because the motivation is the same. The only thing that changes is the skill, the position, and the company name. So if you approach to it like this, then it will just save your energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we run a little bit over time, but it was really great conversation. Eugenia, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate everything what you are doing. Yeah, guys, so if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us directly, or just like to post your questions in a group, and we will find a way how to address them.
Yes, thank you. All questions are really helpful, because I feel like we all have the same questions sometimes, and it's great to share. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Valeria. Thank you, Oksana. yeah, I just shared my LinkedIn, and they have my email, I think, in the earlier chat. So if you have any questions or anything, I'm always available.
Yeah, good chance to start
All right.
your network.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.